Hi everyone, I'm Phil. I'll tell a couple since JP called me out. And then I'm calling out Sean to come up and tell a Facebook story after me. That's right. I met Ricky at West Coast Surf Shop. That was what it was called at the time. He was working the front of the store, and I was too young to work and get paid. And so I worked at the skate shop in the back. I was put in charge of buying skateboards and trucks and wheels and stuff, and then sitting in the back of the store and selling them. And he was like older and 1 year older and sort of quieter and in the front and out sort of in the back and knew my place, you know. And then at one point they built a half pipe in the store, and it just sort of all went downhill from there. But our relationship went uphill, to be sure. One thing, a couple quick ones. Talking about this piece and Bob Marley. At one point, he came over to my place, and he just had this big whiteboard and foam core and generator or a compressor and his air gun and stuff. And he just like sets up. He's like, I'm gonna do something for you, brow. And he just, starts going at it. And the next thing I know, there's about this big, there's just like perfect Bob Marley that was gonna live in this room in my house from then on, and then travel around with me for a lot of different places, including, so I went to Columbia up in New York City for college, and Ricky came up and visited me one spring break. And I was a junior, so he must have been a senior, and Columbia has a really good fine arts program. They're usually, for fine art painting, it's usually like maybe number 3, and Yale is always number 1, no question. So I said, Ricky, just when you come up, just bring your paintings up. Just like, take them off the frame, roll them up, bring them up. We'll just go to the head of Columbia's fine art painting. I'll just shoot him an email, and you can come and just bring your paintings and just like lay them out and see what he says. And he's like, all right. So he comes up and he brings his painting, and I emailed Gregory Amanoff. I don't know if he's still there, but he was the head at the time. And I was like, dear sir. And he said, sure, Thursday at 3, come to my office. So he's okay. So we go in there, and Ricky brings his work, and he unrolls the canvases, and we're talking about, 4x6 maybe, 5x7, some big stuff, feet that is. And Gregory he flips over 2 or 3, and he looks at Ricky and he goes, you should go to Yale. There's no question of the talent. And I gotta say, I'm gonna have this distinct memory on that trip of us walking from Columbia, which is up on 116th on the west side, and we were walking down to MoMA, which is like 55th or something on the east-ish side. And so we went through Central Park. He had his harmonica. I had my little, I think it was a Martin backpacker at the time, and I was just playing basically the same blues progressions over and over again, and Ricky was doing all these, just wonderful flourishes as we did a nice spring jaunt for, I don't know, what's that, like 3 miles through the park with Ricky. Fast forward a number of years, and we drove my wife and I and my 2 kids drove our RV down and parked it in their driveway over on Pearl, and for a week, and they were very gracious. And at one point, to link up with Joe's fire story, at one point, Ricky's gonna have a fire in his backyard. It's got this big, it wasn't that big, but it was, this tall, pushed together, mostly palm fronds, which for those of you who have burned palm fronds, you know how quickly they ignite. And so Ricky goes out there with a blowtorch. He built this fire about 4 feet from his neighbor's wooden fence. with a sort of dead pine tree branch hovering overhead. And Ricky goes out there with a blowtorch to start the thing, and then a blower to keep it going. And this thing is just like, and my wife and I are like, is this gonna happen? And it did happen, and it went well. But he's, I love that guy, and love you all, and I know we all have our stuff, in our families that we all deal with, and Ricky and I talked about that many times over the year. Nobody's perfect, and you always got to have somebody you talk to, and at the end of every conversation, it was just sort of like, well, but they're family, and I love them, and that was it. That was the end of it. That was the bottom line. That's who he was. So, thanks for letting me talk.